Well, Tanya Tucker and Stella Tucker.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in
Stella
today.
Quaid.
Stella, that's right. Good to see you both.
Oh, good to see you too, Mark.
Yeah, what a fun. So glad we could finally do this. And I have some reasons for wanting to do this with the movie coming back out this fall. But you have some big reasons for doing this, and that is let's talk first about On My Way to Heaven, what you all have cooked up there.
Well, it's just a God thing. The way it came together could have never been planned. I ran into Dennis after 40 years. I did my first movie with him, and it was his second.
Right.
And 40 years later, we're both at the Hall of Fame. I'm doing she's chewing on her feet, and I don't like that. I mean, it's not good. Stop that. Oh dear, look at that. Oh. Um, and he came into my dressing room, which, I had the Cosa Salvaje tequila in there, so I had the most popular dressing room. And he walked in, and it was like, I can't believe it's been 40 years since we've seen each other.
Wow.
So we reconnected at that point, and then I was going back to Austin. I was in the back of my bus, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he sent me uh, his album, Dennis Quaid and the Sharks, and
Yeah.
I started listening to it and hit on this song, and I listened to it again, and 2 seconds I called, I just text Connie Nelson, Willie's ex, and I said, "Does Kris still sing?" And
Mm.
she said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, ask him if he'd sing on this song with me." And she came back. She said, "He said he would if you come to Malibu." And
Wow.
I said, "Well, I just happen to be coming out to California to do my new album with Brandy Carlisle and Shooter Jennings. So perfect, you know?" And so I already had the track, had my vocal, I had two different keys because I didn't know really what key Kris was going to sing in. I knew what key Dennis sang in.
Yeah.
So we got him on it. I went to Shanghai studio and put his vocal on it. And I was showing him how to, put it in and sing the lines.
Yeah.
And Quaid walked in, and I didn't know until later that Kris was Quaid's hero and
Mm-hmm.
had since he was like 15.
Yep.
And so that worked, that wasn't planned. That was just something I heard Kris singing. I don't know how I get these ideas, but we got that part done. And then I said, got to do a video.
Yeah.
I have to take this opportunity to do this. And Kris was in.
Mm.
So, um, one day, and we got together in Malibu on this top of this mountain in Malibu, and Quaid showed up at 8 o'clock, and I showed up around 2, and I think Kris got there around 4. He'd been flying for 10 hours trying to get there, and him and Lisa, and we did the video, and John Carter Cash was who we got to direct it, and helped us out with the video.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of legacy there in one song.
Yeah.
The coat that Kris gave Quaid in the video was Johnny Cash's,
Mm.
and his grandson was also one of the cameramen.
Mm.
Um, so it was a lot of really wonderful moments in the video. And of course, I went back and forth a little bit with John Carter doing different scenes and taking that one out, putting this one in. And I'd never done that before, really. But it can get expensive, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know
Yeah.
that.
But,
And
but
so
what a great song. Dennis, I
well,
think he wrote that song over
he
like
wrote it
30 years.
about 40, I think.
Yeah.
40 years. And what's so wild is I went to visit, he took me to the set of with Billy Bob Thornton. What
Right.
was that the show that they did together?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The series, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was on the set, and Billy Bob would come over our trailer and hung out. And since then I've become real close with Billy Bob, and I've been on Landman set many times and
Mm-hmm.
hung out with him. And we think we're separated at birth. That's how close we are. But it just where was I in the story?
Yeah.
Uh, we
Well, we're
wanted to
talking
do
about the
a video.
song and the video.
Yeah, well, um, and then I didn't know what to do with it after I got it done, because
Yeah.
I don't have management right now, and
Yeah.
and I don't have team, and so I don't know how to do that kind of
Well, I
stuff.
thought I was part of your team.
Well, you're a
We,
very big part of the team, probably the biggest part.
I'm joking.
You're
We
the
have,
biggest part of my team. But
no, I'm
anyway,
joking.
so
We have I'd say we have a mutual admiration society in our texts. I was just looking at some of our texts, and I was telling you, it's my honor to work with you. You're the best. And you're like, no, I'm the one honored. And we go back and forth.
I would go back
This,
and forth.
we have a mutual admiration society. But I wanted to talk, if I could just pivot to the song and the movie we worked on, because it was so much fun. You know, I had heard from a writer named Reggie Ham that I've got this song, and then I talked to you separately, and then somehow I figured out that you guys had already been talking. It was like it was meant to be, the
Yeah,
song we did together. And
Chuck Cannon, who wrote the song with
right, with Reggie.
Ham, um, uh, called me and asked me about it, and said, I think he told me that it has a possibility of being in the Reagan movie,
Right.
which really got my attention.
Yeah.
We all love to have songs in a movie or soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's what you really want, and it gives you so much more exposure,
Yeah.
and to other people that wouldn't listen to you normally.
Right.
And Chuck Cannon is one of my,
Oh,
I
the
adore
best.
him.
The
I would
best.
do, Lord knows what I wouldn't do for him.
Yeah.
But when he speaks, I listen, and he got me over to the studio and played me the song, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know. I could step outside the box, but I don't know if this is one I can step out of for this.
Right.
This is pretty different.
Yeah.
I've never, but it should have been. In another way, it was great because it was different, and I had never done anything like it.
Yeah.
So spread
Well,
out. Let's see if we can do this.
it was it was for our Inspired by soundtrack, which we had songs that were the movie inspired.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
yeah, so you contributed some, and of course Chuck and Reggie
But
and
Chuck, he guided me through it
yeah,
because I didn't know it when we recorded it, and
yeah,
so it's a difficult song. It
it
was
is,
for me anyway.
but I think the sentiments really capture, kind of where
Oh,
you are, where a
yeah.
lot of us are. You
Do
know,
we want to fight?
do we want to fight or do we want to
Do we
win?
want to win?
Right.
Is it more important to be right?
Yeah, you remember in the
Oh,
film, if you remember, I think this is where maybe Chuck captured the idea, but Reagan would say to Tip O'Neill, his arch nemesis, "Is it 6 p.m. yet?" And O'Neill finally got exasperated, like, what does it matter? And he said, "Well, if it's 6 p.m., we're friends again." And we've lost that sense in America, haven't we?
right, right, right. Well, my dad always said, if the devil picks bass and you need a bass player, you got to go with it. Now, you don't have to
Right.
sleep with him.
Right. Well, because
So, that's the way it is.
yeah, I mean, I know you have strong beliefs, but you work with lots of people, and we don't ask people,
What they do on in
yeah,
their
I mean,
bedroom.
I remember yeah, right. Reagan, Reagan quoted Oscar Wilde when he was asked about, the LGBT movement. And he said, listen, I think Oscar Wilde said, as long as you don't do it in the streets or frighten the horses, I'm fine with whatever you want to do,
That's right.
in your bedroom, whatever. But,
Kind of what I said. I said, you can marry when all the marrying thing,
right.
was happening. I don't care if you marry your dog. It's the man upstairs who has the final say on that deal. If you think he passes that, then you pass on that deal, then go for it, But
Yeah, well,
it's nothing to me.
but I'm sure in the business you're in, you deal with all kinds of people, and that's just life. And one thing about on our set of our movie, which we hadn't met you yet. I wish we had, because it would have gotten you involved. But one day I told this story before, but I would say, "Hey, where did John Voight go?" And they said, "Well, he's down the street in some studio making a Trump commercial." And then I said, "Well, where's Mark Moses?" And they said, "Oh, he had to fly to Montana to do a fundraiser for the Democrat running for the Senate." And I love the fact that our crew was all over the map, our cast was all over the map,
Yeah.
and we all didn't matter to us. We're all there for a movie, and
Yes.
that's how it should be, right?
And it was really cool to have that preview movie too, to
Right.
go and see the movie before you guys, really edited it out. And it's
Yeah.
this long version. And it was interesting. I had to leave early that night. I didn't want to, but I had to for some
Yeah, that
reason.
was
I
in
had to go to the road.
Nashville. you came out to see it, and we made a practice of screening it early for people in
Yeah.
very, very rough stages. So you saw it that night.
Yes.
It was, it
And
was.
it was interesting. I love that. That was a really great place to show that. Do they do that all the time there?
I think that was the Soho House.
Yes, it was. But
Yeah,
I just wonder if they use that room for other movies like that, because when I was trying to think of a place to do the show the video on my way to heaven, and have people there to see it,
yeah.
should have been a thought in my head, because it was a great venue for that. I mean, there's not as many people as the Grand Ole Opry, but which is where it's debuting on June 20th,
Right.
and the Mother Church of Country Music. I mean, what better could we have?
Yeah.
But that would be an interesting place to do some other things. I now got it planted in my mind, because I've got other things I'm doing too.
That's a nice little venue. I think you should do it there.
Oh, I think it's a great venue, really great.
Well, we'll
Of course,
talk
I don't
later.
have to be a member to get in.
Well, we'll talk later and set that up because
Okay,
that'd
okay.
be a great place to. Now the parking, I'm not so sure about, but we can
No,
figure that
yeah,
out later.
that's a problem in
Remember,
Nashville.
remember the parking problems we had that night?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Yes,
no,
yes, yes.
it was so great to have you be a part of that, and I love this collection of. It's such a I wouldn't say odd, but it's an interesting collection of people. It's like the Commodores and
Oh,
you
yeah,
and
very eclectic.
yeah, Gary, who used to be the lead singer for Van Halen, and
Yeah.
Travis Tritt, of course, and so many others. But I don't know if I told you the story, but one of the songs on there is a song that Reagan wrote the lyrics to, and then we had Lee kind of interpret it and add some of his own lyrics to it.
Wow. Well,
And
I think I've heard that one. I need to listen to that. I'd love to listen to that.
I got to tell you, yeah. So Mike, of course, Mike Kerr, but Mike one day he's like, yeah, Reagan and I wrote a couple songs together, and I said, excuse me. And he said, "Yeah, we have. I've got." I said, "Well, do you have them?" And he sends me these demos, and so
No way.
I gave that to Lee, and so that became the song "Start the World Over Again."
Oh
And
my God.
Curb
That is
said
incredible.
he and Reagan are in the back of a limo driving somewhere, and he said, "Mr. Governor, have you ever written a song?" And Reagan said, "No." He says, "Why don't we write one right now?" So they wrote those two songs together.
That is amazing.
Ronald Reagan, the songwriter,
And who is the other guy?
Mike Curb.
Oh, it was Mike Curb.
Yeah,
Well, of course it
yeah.
was.
But then Lee came in and gave it his magic dust. And
Yes,
so I'll send you a
yes.
copy, but it's called "Start the World Over Again,"
I
and
can't wait. I
that's
that,
that's
I
a
was,
good.
I was at Reagan's inauguration.
Yeah, I want to
Uh,
hear all about that. Tell me about your ties with him.
well, I didn't have a lot of ties with him, but I was dating Glenn at that time, and Glenn was one of the inaugural balls. He was doing the show, and so of course I went on with him and did the show. But it was great, just being in that amongst them.
Yeah,
I mean, I was walking through the lobby and I met Moses. Here he comes,
Chuck
Charles
Heston.
Heston. And he was about 5 feet taller than me,
Yeah,
and he reached down and he grabbed my hand, and it was so big and soft and creamy, and and he said, "I've always been a fan of yours, and I am
whoa,
so wonderful to meet you. Me and my wife
oh,
adore you." And I'm like,
wow.
he's shaking my hand. I'm like, oh my, So a lot of those things, that Charlie Pride was there,
Mm.
and uh, I remember I had to take a little break because I had to go to the bathroom, but there wasn't one close by. And so the Secret Service were all over. And so I told him, I said, listen, I gotta go now. So I went over behind a piano or something and had to use a solo cup and go to the bathroom right there.
What?
Yeah, yeah. And the Secret Service is going, okay, now she's finished. Okay,
Oh
shit.
my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Wait, wait, they wouldn't let you use the restroom?
well, it was too far. It was too far. The show was fixed. I mean, either it was going on or it was about to start. So it was. I had to do some fast.
What you did for your country, boy.
Yeah, I think that was the year too, wasn't it? That Sinatra
Yeah,
did the show, and Don Rickles, and
yeah.
we watched all of it. And of course, it was I think the first time I'd been in the White House, and I remember what I had on. Um, and we went to the White House after the inauguration, and I met him and his wife, and
Didn't
it was just it was
didn't you do
great.
something in '84 too? 4 years later.
I did uh the Republican convention.
Okay.
Is that what you're speaking of?
I thought you did something for Reagan later.
Yeah, I did the national anthem
Right.
with Glenn.
Right.
We did it in harmony. So
Right.
we did that, and then I did it again for senior Bush,
Senior Bush. Right.
who I loved.
Right.
I
Right.
did it I had one of the balls for George W., but I never got to meet him. I stepped out right when he came in, so I missed meeting him, but I know his daughter real well. She's a sweetheart.
Well, at least you didn't have to miss the restroom that time, though. Man, that's a tough one. But
Yeah.
you're a Texan, but you spent a lot of time in other parts of the country too. You grew up in several locales, right?
Yeah, I mean, my dad moved us from Texas to Colorado, where he built those Telluride chairlifts. And then he heard of, I guess, work in Arizona, building water wells. So
Right.
we moved to Arizona, and that's where my first real memories began. Um, I remember a few from Colorado, but my memories start in Wilcox, Arizona, and we moved several different places there, but the last place we lived was Fort Grant Road. And and my dad heard me sing and decided we're gonna he was gonna go to work for me that day, and he's still working for me, you know.
And you were 13 at the time, right?
Well, no, I was 9. I was 9
9. Wow.
when he first took me to Nashville.
Hmm.
And uh we went all the way back and didn't get anything done, uh but we didn't get frustrated for some reason. We didn't
Hmm.
give up, and it just made him work harder. And then he started drilling for copper, and we'd go out in the drilling rig with him, and he'd wake me up when he thought had something, and he'd show me where the core about that big around, and you look in it for the copper. And so we did that, and I have great memories of that.
Hmm.
But pretty soon we moved and we left Wilcox. I was in the fifth grade, and moved to Phoenix.
Hmm.
And we were there just a little while until I got on a show called the Lou King Ranger Show,
Hmm.
and it was a children's show that is in the mornings, on Saturday mornings. And he was like a little local celebrity, and so I went up to be in the talent show that they have every week, and did my song. I'm trying to think what song it was. But after I sang, Lou King came up to my dad and said, we want her on as a regular on our show.
Wow. Wow.
So I did 18 weeks, and it was all songs like "Here Comes Peter Cottontail," and I did "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window."
Yeah.
So I told my dad after about 18 weeks, I said, I can't take it anymore. I said, I want to do a little Fifth City or "Don't Come Home a Drinking."
Right.
Those were the songs that I was used to singing,
Right.
and I got to get out of this. And so my dad he didn't say nothing, but he said, okay. And he went, and I remember him going up. I watched him go up to Lou King and say, we've had a good run here, but we appreciate everything, but we got to go. He was just, he was very sad to see us go, but we left, and my dad moved us to St. George, Utah, because we were out of money, and he had to go back to work on a pipeline somewhere around there.
Mm.
And I went to school seventh grade, and loved that area, loved that town, loved the
Mm.
kids. They were so supportive of me,
Mm.
and I got true support from you know, my peers, which was wonderful. And then he moved us to Henderson, Nevada,
Hmm.
and that's where I got my start in Las Vegas. I did some demos, and actually, we lived there. We got a house, or a trailer house, right out there on the way to Lake Mead in Henderson, and 207 Navajo Drive. I'll never forget it. And I went to school, and he worked this and that, and trying to get me started, and then he won some money in Vegas, and that's how I made my demos.
Mm.
And those demos are what got me to Billy Sherrill.
Wow.
Ultimately, who is a gambler. He was a gambler, and he come to Riviera, and I met him the next morning, and he said, "When do you want to cut a hit record?" And I said, "Like yesterday." Yeah. And so that was November or October of 71.
Mm.
And then we went to Nashville. We got called March, I think it was like March 20. No, it was about second week of March. And we stayed at the King of the Road Hotel, my dad and I. And uh, I went in every day with Billy to listen to songs for my record. And so we were in there listening every day. And he played songs, and I'd say no, no, no.
Mm.
And then when he played Delta Dawn, the writer Alex Harvey on his guitar, just singing, the song. I said, "That's my song."
Wow, you knew.
I knew, and
Mm.
many people thought he'd lost it for listening to a kid,
Yeah.
But he said, "You heard her, boys." So I turned down The Happiest Girl in the Whole USA, which
Wow.
you would think I'd be attracted to. And I ended
Yeah.
up recording it on my first album, but that wasn't my song.
Yeah.
Delta Dawn was. So he listened to me, and that kind of shook some people up because he did things to make people just get, rattle their nerves. He was that kind of guy. And he had a Jensen Interceptor he'd just gotten. So I was getting ready to when I was getting ready to turn 16, my contract was up with
Mm.
Columbia, and I'd had all these hits. So the ball was really in our court. And when my dad went up to New York to talk to them about signing me again, they said no. There's no way we're going to pay that much.
Mm.
There's no way. And so he went across the street to MCA, and they we should have probably went a little higher because they were ready to do it no matter what.
Wow.
But that meant I couldn't have Billy Sherrill, and
Mm.
that was devastating to me
Mm.
and to him. I heard he went in his office and tore it completely apart and destroyed it because, I mean, we found out later that I had owed him one more album, so we went back in and did one more album, but his heart, it wasn't in it. He said, "Lawyers and thieves took you from
Wow.
me."
Wow.
So it really hurt him. And uh, but 5 years I was with Universal. Of course, TNT came out of that, and so
Mhm.
did San Antonio Stroll and Lizzie and the Rain Man with um, uh, the guy that produced Cher. And it was like I was thrown into another way of recording. The Snuff Garrett was his name, and he
Mm.
produced all those Cher songs. And Roy Rogers, he was a real cowboy kind of. He loved cowboy music, and but he worked so quickly,
Wow.
and they didn't even want me to show up at the basic tracks, where me and the band get the basic instruments we're using, and I sang a little bit, and everybody helps everybody else, but it's the track is the beginning of the whole process, and they didn't even want me to show up there. I went, "Well, how do you know what key it's in?
Mm.
That I'm gonna sing in?" He goes, "Well, we'll just manipulate the tape."
Wow.
I said, so that's why all those share records were so fast. And
Right.
I said, I told Daddy, I said, I can't work like this. I
Mm.
just can't. So he told Snuff that was it. We were moving on and went back to Nashville. And that's when Jerry Crutchfield, I met him. And then we had a big long run. We did 13 albums together.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
think some of my best music came out of those days,
Wow.
those years, and those records.
Mm.
And I had a great relationship with him. And I had some ideas that were kind of off the wall, and he'd go with them. And I wanted Seals and Crofts to come in and sing on a song, and we flew to LA and got them. And then I became friends with them, and they in turn, Hoyt Axton wanted me to sing some harmony on his record, Snowblind Friend, I think was the name of the
Mm.
album, and I didn't really know how to sing harmony, so I called Seals and Crofts, and they came over and taught me, and I put it down on Hoyt's album. So lot of really special relationships have come out through the years. And those two records that Snuff produced on me, by the way, went #1. So Snuff called Jerry Crestfield, said, "These people are crazy." I had 2 #1 records with her and she left me.
Wow.
But it was because of the way he worked, and I just didn't feel comfortable, you know. And if anything, you should feel comfortable when you're making a record
Yeah.
and
Well,
recording.
your dad really played a giant role in your life and career.
Oh, I wouldn't be here. Well, I don't know where I'd be, but I
Hmm.
probably had to go to school, which I wouldn't have liked.
What
to
did
be
your
a
mom think
veterinarian.
about all this?
My mother?
Yeah, what did she think about
Well,
all?
I asked her a few years after I had Delta Dawn out. I said, we live with my aunt, she was gonna serve us 1957 chicken. I went, "Daddy, we're not eating her tonight."
Yeah.
And I went to school in Phoenix, and his relatives, his family, her family, everybody thought he was crazy. They not crazy, but a
Sure.
little,
Starstruck, dreaming.
or no, just a little off.
Yeah.
But they knew he was a hard worker. That's one thing you had to say about my dad. And whatever he did well, and he did a lot of things. And he was quite the person, the human. He was had a sixth sense.
Mm.
He had dreams that came true. I mean, just he knew what was going to happen before you did, and he'd give you warning. Sometimes
Wow.
I think, no, that ain't never going to happen, and I'll be dang.
Really?
So he had a special gift,
Mm.
and if it hadn't been for him, nothing. No, I wouldn't have the constitution. I wouldn't have the work ethic.
Mm.
Anybody knows around this town, anywhere, that I'm a hard worker.
Yes,
And
you are. I know that for a
yeah.
fact. What was the Arizona, what was the Phoenix music scene like? I mean, was Stevie Nicks, Alice Cooper, a lot of people that came out of the area. Did you all, I mean, was there a scene?
I think that was later on. When we were there, no, there was no scene. They were just trying to make a living and trying to go to school, which I didn't like. But only school I really liked was in St. George. That was my favorite. But it was just trying to keep our heads above the water. And I'm now looking back, I know what all I know more about what he went through than I did,
Mm.
because I see it. I can feel it now. And when I talk to my young girls, uh, I try to sound just like my dad. Now you got to do it later in there like Hank Williams would. Get the feeling in that song.
Mm.
And I seem to understand it, but they don't get it. They don't transfer as well.
Yeah.
So he had a way of telling me, and it wasn't sweet and, "Oh honey," it wasn't like that.
Right.
He get his point across the way he could. And sometimes it was what some people would think would be really unethical and harsh. Because I know I met Mel Gibson one night in Malibu, and then I went up to him and said, they got this book that they've written. I've written. I didn't write it. My friend wrote it, but it's called Nickel Dreams. And I said, "You're the one I picked to play my dad because he got that beautiful wavy brown hair." He goes, "Your dad, he was hard on you, wasn't he?" I said,
Really?
"Well, wait a minute. You don't know me that well to
Yeah.
talk." I said, "Well, what makes you say that?" He goes, "Well, I read your book a few years ago."
Really?
So,
Mm.
because people on the outside would think, "Oh, he's hard on her," but
Mm.
he wasn't too hard. He probably should have been harder. Should have been
Mm.
tougher.
Mm.
Maybe play that guitar.
Your songs were often very precocious. You were singing about topics that
Yeah,
were
always
several
had
years
to.
ahead of you, right? Explain that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might have been Thursday nights. We watched all those shows on TV, the
Mm.
Wilton brothers. Then there was Dean Martin had his on, and then later on Glenn Campbell.
Right.
But I was that was more the music I was exposed to.
Right.
Loretta Lynn was a big one for me. Connie,
Right.
um, we had a radio station in Wilcox, Arizona that was a country station. It's called Cahill Radio,
Mm.
KHIO, and still going today. But I've often wondered if that station had been a rock and roll station,
Mm,
if things would have been different, because that's the station I listen to, and I think
right.
that's where I developed a real taste and a love for country music.
Mm-hmm.
My dad looked at me across the table, and I was 9, and said, I might have been closer to 11. He said, "Do you want to stay here in Wilcox and be normal, just go to school and have you a good life, or do you want to be a star?"
Mm,
You know, that's the way he had,
wow.
expressing it to me. And I looked up, and there was a poster of the Arizona State Fair on the wall, and we put it up on the wall, and I said, "No, Daddy, that's not no choice." I said, "I want to be a star."
Mm,
So next day, it might not have been the next day, but it was not too far long after that. Uh, we packed up everything and moved. So, and he didn't stop, and I
mm,
still hear him. I hear him
wow.
more now than ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was really a huge
Some
part. But yes,
situations I go through these days in the past few years, I think involving my kids, I'm going like, God, I wish you were here right now. What would you
mm,
do?
mm,
Because I know I ain't doing it, whatever it
mm,
is. And he just had a way of to do things that not everybody would know about.
yeah, yeah.
And I just wish for those. I could never be as smart and have those skills like my dad. I
Mm,
think I picked up a few, but I'll never have as much. But anyway, I asked my mother years later. I said, "What would make you stay with a man that is betting you and your future and his family's whole future on
right,
a 9-year-old kid?"
right.
You know, it's
Yeah.
insane. I looked at my kids when they were 9. I go like, no, don't think so.
Right,
Never happened.
right.
Uh, so she said, "Honey," she said, "your dad believed in you,
Mm.
and I believed in him."
Oh, wow.
So we're you don't think those
Mm,
songwriter wheels aren't moving? They were trying to write that song because it is.
yeah.
And there's a song in there somewhere, whatever I do, whatever
Yeah.
it is, there's a song in here.
I believed in him and he
Gotta come
believed in you.
out.
Mm, oh,
I believed in him. He believed in you, and I believed in him.
mm,
So that said it all to me right there. And they
wow.
were married right up until the end. My dad passed on Thanksgiving morning of '06. And from that time on, my mother just kind of went
Mm,
downhill.
mm,
And she passed in 2012.
mm-hmm.
And it was very difficult. So my son was showing me a picture of their, because my dad wanted to be cremated, and then his ashes spread over my mother's grave. But my sister decided that we'd put him in a box and he'd sleep at the foot of the queen. So
Wow.
he's at her feet. And
Mm,
the headstone is getting a little, it says two sparrows, our two sparrows in a hurricane. And it's getting a little, I don't know, whatever, rusty or something.
mm,
So we're gonna Grayson told me, my son, and he was out there the other day, and uh and he showed me the pictures. So I want to go out and make it. They should have the grandest headstone of all.
mm.
So I've seen something on TikTok. I think will take care of that.
Tanya Tucker's on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was anonymously for a long time,
Were you?
and then these transmission lines, and then Houston, Harris County, the shelter. I don't know what the shelter means, but uh, their kill shelter,
Mm,
and they killed, I think, 60 or 70 dogs. What's today? Today's Wednesday.
yeah.
Oh yeah, they killed about that many today.
Oh,
They'll
Lord.
kill some more on Friday. And they don't give these animals a chance. And I don't think a dog should be killed unless his quality of life is no good. And
What?
better to
Yeah.
put them down. But we got to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah.
And my one of my things is I think every vet should pass a bill that every veterinarian should do so many a month free spays and neuters,
Mm,
because that's the problem.
right.
And there's so many people fighting dogs down in Houston,
Mm,
and these dogs are, a lot of them are
mm,
pit bulls, so
right.
they get a bad rap, and they're
Right.
great dogs. they just, you wouldn't be so great either if you were forced to go in and fight all those teeth. And, that's, I think people that do that should be under the jail,
Yeah.
fighting animals to see them kill each other. I mean, what kind of fun is that?
Well, you're
And so I
also
want to get that stopped in San Antonio and, in the state of Texas.
you're
I'd
also
like to
really
stop
you're,
everywhere.
you're also really passionate about these local issues coming up with regard to those centers. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, well, I live on a 250-acre ranch. It adjoins to his sister and cousin. It's about 550 altogether, right there altogether, between Lampasas and Killeen. And that's been there in his family since 1885, Craig's
Mm.
family.
Mm.
And they're trying to do eminent domain, which would come right through our property, our house here, destroy our house, and cuts us off from the rest of our property and all our cattle and the water sources. And then we have natural springs coming up out of the ground, water just coming up out of the ground. It's going to destroy that,
Mm.
destroy all our habitat, our quail. Not to mention, if you have cancer or if you're afraid of getting cancer, you better not live anywhere near one of those things.
Right.
They're the most powerful 765 kilovolts in the country,
Mm.
maybe in the world. And they've never done this before. Encore is the company, and they've got their $750 hour lawyers.
Mm.
These people, there's 491 miles of ranches that will be destroyed.
Mm.
And it just totally destroyed. Their lives fractured, go by schools with kids playing, and we want to stop it. We want Governor Abbott to just pause,
Mm-hmm.
put it on pause, and let's, because that we had the rolling blackouts a few years ago in 21. I was
Right.
there and shoveling snow and for water and breaking the water in the pool that was iced over for the horses,
Mm.
and no electric or anything for 5 or 6 days.
Mm.
And they have these rolling blackouts. And so, of course, Texas, we don't want that no more. So we're going to have to build a better grid, a better source of energy.
Right.
And so Brad Buckley, who is a Texas representative, who is a good friend of mine, has become a great friend, who's also a veterinarian. And he voted for it, and so did Abbott. They all voted for it because Texas wanted it. But they didn't tell us it was 765 kilovolts, and they didn't tell us that it was going to come to property that has been in families hundreds of years.
Mm.
They didn't tell us any of that, and they didn't tell us at all. In fact, we didn't even know that's what was going to happen till a week after the first meeting they had.
Mm.
So, and then it's just not just our property, but all these people and I've seen the stuff you got to do to jump through these hoops you have to go do this, you have to do that, you do this and do that before you can even be a protester.
Mm.
And if you want to testify, then you have to jump through another hoop.
Mm.
And these people can't afford lawyers like that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they're all taken. There's no lawyers left that do that. And so we had 8th to the 12th, the first hearings, and made a pretty good show. I'd put out a little video that, I didn't expect it to do what it did, but I was just standing out there in the pasture, and Craig said, "Speak from your heart," and it was like blew up. And so now I'm going to make another video because it's September 22nd is the day that we all get our fate served to us.
Mm.
So, and it's just starting in Texas. They've never done this before. Encore has never done this kind of job. So we're the guinea pigs.
Wow.
And they've never been out there to see our land. They said they've done studies. They're liars. They lie.
Mm.
And they say it doesn't cause cancer. They lie about that.
Mm.
It's known. It is fact that it causes childhood leukemia.
Mm.
I talked to the college football coach, and I'm trying to remember his name right now, but he said that he was looking for a home, and he said, "I can't live anywhere near a power line. The ones they have now
Mm.
are too strong."
Wow.
So and now they're trying to put one by the Nashville Zoo,
Hmm.
and you should hear the noise they make. I mean, if you have a flashlight and it's off, if you get within 500 feet of one of these power lines, it'll come on.
No.
So this is a David and Goliath story, and I hear they're doing it, and we don't even get the power.
Hmm.
The power is shipped to
Right.
West Texas
Right. Right.
to run their whatever those things are, those fan power deals. But West Texas is loaded with energy. They got plenty of energy. They burned a lot of it off.
Hmm.
You see these big fires that's burning that gas off.
Right.
They can make their own energy and don't tear up our land to do it. And I'm speaking, I want my voice to be for all the people that don't have one, that they can't,
Mhm.
there's, they can't jump through hoops. In fact, it was hard for us to understand it. And we didn't have a lawyer either, but a lot of the people that are being affected have come together. I met Kevin Kennedy, and I've met so many great people that are just, it's unfortunate that we had to meet on these circumstances, but I'm so glad I met them just as friends.
Yeah.
They're salt of the earth. And I don't like to see the little guy beat up like this.
Yeah.
So I've lived in Texas. I'm a Texan originally, but I never really lived there
Hmm.
till 8 years ago when I went down with my fiance, boyfriend, Craig Dillingham, and his
Mhm.
family had that property for 1885. His great granddad came from Tennessee
Wow.
and settled all that property. So there's something to be said. I want people to know that I'm not just fighting this fight for me. It's got to be for everyone.
And, and,
If
and
you
it's not.
singled me out and said, "Okay, we'll bypass your place, but we're still going this way," it's still, you're gonna hear from me.
And it's not it's not political, right? This is kind of all crosses boundaries of
No, it's
politics.
no political, no red or blue.
Hmm.
It's corruption.
Yeah.
It's at finest, and with little facts, they give you just a little bit here and a little bit there.
Mm.
But now delving into the research and researching what they're saying and how it really is two different things.
Mm.
So I said, well, at $750 an hour lawyer, I bet if we could come up with $750 for him, he'd come over on our side. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
So it's just not what we need. And it's kind of like carrying sand to the damn ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Marking it up here and carrying it over the ocean. There's plenty of it.
Right.
So use your own sand.
Yep.
Use your own power.
Well,
Stay out of Texas. But Governor Abbott did make a bill the day after I wrote him a nice little letter because he's a friend of mine and his wife, Cecilia, and they're going to help me with my kill pins
mm-hmm.
to stop those in Texas, and also to help me with the slaughter horses being brought through Texas and bought in Texas, taken down to Mexico to slaughter.
Mm.
Mexico got their own horses. Leave ours alone,
Mm-hmm.
And what are we doing it for? For nothing. For nothing. There's nothing good about it. And these horses a lot of them have drugs. They put drugs in them. They put, in some cases, children inside of these horses to get them across the
You're
line.
kidding.
No, it's very evil what they're doing. And the way they do it is it's inhumane.
Mm.
It's inhumane. And it's anybody that has a heart could look at those horses and if they could agree with that, then I don't want to be around them,
Mm.
But I'm glad to know that's the way you feel because I don't want to be around you.
Yeah, right.
They're not salt of the earth.
Mm.
They don't care anything about the earth and its people. And I think it's time everybody starts to listen to some of the things that people are saying up there that are not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're passionate about your music as well as the issues around you, and that's a great thing to have. We all have to.
I'm calling on all Texas artists, Texas celebrities, anybody that's famous that's come from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going to do a video, and at the end, I'm going to say, "This is Tanya Tucker, and I approve this message." And then Quaid did the first one. He said, "I'm Dennis Quaid. I'm a Texan, and I approve this message too." So if I can get a lot of other artists, I think music is a great way
Yeah.
to calm the nerves and
Yeah.
calm the uh, the fighting. It gets a little heated when you're talking about losing your home. I guess it does.
Yeah. No kidding.
But music kind of softens the blows, and it also introduces people that don't know what's going on, and it's a little easier, more gentle induction
Yeah.
to this. And please believe me that it's starting in Texas. They're doing it in Texas, but it'll be all around the country.
Yeah.
It goes through, and our
Unless you
country will
unless you
be.
stop it, unless you stop it there, and then
That's
that'll
right.
be
It started in Texas. It needs to stop there.
yeah. Well, it's been great to catch up with you. Thanks for the song that you let Chuck and I produce for you.
Oh, it's great.
Great song.
Anything. I do anything for Chuck, and I guess, God dang it, I'm gonna have to do anything for you
There you
now.
go. And then we're cooking up something. You and I are going to cook up something with Bob Dylan too. Don't forget.
Well, I've got to do it.
So
I mean,
we got
it's
to
like we're running out of time
yeah.
here.
Well
Every time I see him, he says, "We got to do something together," and I
yeah.
go, "Well, we better hurry up because one of us is getting old."
Well, we're gonna
I
get that
think it's
done.
me.
He's a little older than you and I, but we're not too far behind. But we're gonna get
But he
that done
loves me,
too.
and I love him.
Yeah.
I mean, the first show he came to see up in Canada, I was playing a place. My dad told me I had a choice between going to Canada and playing a place that country artists had never sold out. Is real
Yeah.
high dollar ties and all that, and or Fiji.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I ain't gonna make no money in Fiji. I'm gonna go make a little money and prove them wrong. So I was on stage, and my dad overheard the maitre d' say, "You can't come in here, sir. You have to have a jacket," you know. And the guy says, "Well, if I could just hear Blood Red or Would You Lay With Me, I'd be fine." He said, "You can't come in here." And it was like a lot of money. I mean, at that time, it was a lot of money. It was like, I think, $100 a person, which was no country,
Right.
no country artist got that. So,
Right.
no country people would pay that. But I got a note that said on stage, I read it, and it says, "Bob Dylan is in the audience." And I went, "That's funny." Yeah, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Can you imagine Bob Dylan singing, 'She's 41 at her dad'?" So I did a whole impersonation of him singing
Oh
Dylan
my goodness.
Dawn.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
when I walked off stage, there he was with my dad. And
Oh
I
my
said, "Oh
goodness.
my
Did I
God."
ever tell you, Tanya, when I heard this story secondhand, but when he gave us the song, for the movie, and one of my guys I wasn't at the session because it was in Nashville and I was in LA, but one of my guys said he broke off from the group for a while and wandered over to the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And I guess he walked up to the desk and there was a girl there. And apparently he said to her, "So, how does one become a songwriter?" And she had no idea it was Bob Dylan. And she gave him a pamphlet on how to become a songwriter and join the Songwriter Hall of Fame someday. And
Oh my
he
God.
was laughing, recounting this story later that she had no clue who she had
I
just been talking
wonder.
to.
I wonder who the girl was.
I know
She knows who she is.
she's probably kicking herself,
No,
but
I just love him though. When he came up to my room that night, my dad and him, and I mean, he didn't leave till 5 the next morning.
wow.
I mean, we talked and talked, and I made fun of him and had a lot of fun. How do you walk
Well,
on those legs?
we got to get this thing done. But listen, I know we have a hard out, but thanks for catching up with us today, and thanks for your song and the contribution to the movie. And we're going to work on something pretty good really soon here. So thanks for checking in.
Well, I have one question. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
Quaid did a great job, by the way. I thought there's nobody else that could have done that
Yep.
role. But why, I ask, did y'all use at the end?
Yeah.
He's on that white horse.
Yes.
Why didn't you use a saddlebred horse? Because that's what he rode.
Yeah, that's
He would
true.
ride a quarter horse.
Yep.
And
We are.
Quaid says, "Yeah, I was one of them," and it didn't turn around real well.
Yeah, we're busted on that one. You have a good eye.
Oh no, and it's just like the sergeant or the commander for Virgil Kane is my name. came till so much cavalry came. You know.
Yeah.
What's his name was the one that was for the South, the general.
Yeah. I know. I think I know who you
There
mean.
was Ulysses Grant and
Right.
Robert E. Lee.
Robert E. Lee, of
Robert
course.
E. Lee. Yeah, and Robert E. Lee also rode a saddlebred.
Yeah.
I know this because my friend raises them, and I have a couple saddlebreds in Kentucky. But I
Yeah.
thought, now what the hell? There's plenty of saddlebreds out there. You guys do that out in California, right?
Out of his ranch. That was his actual
Yeah.
ranch.
So
Yeah.
there's no reason you shouldn't have a
We just
saddlebred.
we just had what we had to work with, but
Okay.
that scene, that was I still get choked up watching that
Oh,
scene.
I do too.
Dennis did such an amazing job. It was January. We were freezing our tails off. We're drinking cups of coffee, and then he would go out and ride that horse out there. And then the actor went part way with him. Then he let him ride off by himself.
Yeah.
And so it was just a magical moment for all of us.
Said he was a little hard to turn around, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I asked Dennis why he didn't have a saddlebred.
next time we'll have you on the set as a horse consultant.
Oh yeah, you don't have to pay me a lot. Just feed me good.
Well, it's great to catch up with you, and let's catch up soon.
Stella, you want to say goodbye? Say goodbye.
We'll see you, Stella. Thanks for joining us, Stella.
Stella, and quit biting those. It's so awful. I don't know anything to do about that when they're biting their paws.
It's all good.
Epsom salt, they got to be.
Epsom salt.
That's where you're going, girl.
All
We
right,
love
we'll see you guys. Thanks for checking in.